On the distant planet of Zyphora, strange forests of glowing plants stretched as far as the eye could see. Among these, one particular species, the Lumacoconuts, was incredibly rare. They shone in soft blues and pinks, and the locals valued them more than gold. Rina, a young alien explorer, was in the middle of harvesting her prized Lumacoconuts when disaster struck. One of the glowing coconuts fell from the tree and rolled into a deep, muddy pit. She gasped. These coconuts weren't just food, they were her family's most treasured resource. Losing even one would bring shame and worry to her village. Rina tried to reach it, but the pit was too slippery, too deep, and, strangely magnetic. Every time she extended her long, delicate arms, the coconut slid further away. She groaned, frustrated, and panicked. Just then, a human appeared on the horizon. His name was Ethan, a visitor from Earth, part of a small research team studying Zyphora's unusual flora. Humans weren't known for their strength compared to aliens, but Ethan had a reputation for solving problems in the strangest ways. Rina froze. Humans were unpredictable. Some were helpful, some, not so much. But seeing the situation, Ethan sprinted toward the pit without hesitation. "Need a hand?" he asked, his voice calm, though the pit seemed to be alive with shifting mud. Rina hesitated. Her pride wouldn't allow her to accept help easily, especially from a human. But she had no choice. "Yes, please," she whispered, watching him carefully. Ethan knelt beside the pit. He observed the coconut carefully. It's not just a coconut, is it?" he murmured. "It's alive?" Rina's eyes widened. "Of course it's alive. Only humans wouldn't know that." Ethan smiled slightly. "Let's be careful, then." He rolled up his sleeves and dipped his hands into the mud. Surprisingly, Human's grip was different and stronger, more precise than Rina expected. He managed to hook the coconut with a simple tool he had carried in his backpack. With a small tug, it started to rise, but then, the pit shook violently. "Watch out!" Rina screamed as the mud shifted and tried to swallow both of them. The coconut slipped again. Ethan thought quickly. He pushed a nearby glowing branch into the pit like a lever. With a bit of effort and a lot of luck, the coconut finally lifted free. Rina blinked, stunned. You did it," she said, almost breathless. "No one has ever rescued a Lumacoconut like that before." Ethan grinned. Humans have a few tricks up their sleeves. Rina, still holding her treasure, felt a mix of relief and embarrassment. The coconut glowed brighter than ever, reflecting on her cheeks. "Thank you," she muttered, almost shyly. Ethan waved it off. All in a day's work. But the relief was short-lived. The pit, disturbed by their struggle, began to expand rapidly. The ground cracked and groaned. Mud and glowing spores shot up like geysers. The pair scrambled backward, watching as the pit swallowed an entire section of the forest. "Oh no!" Rina cried. "My village will see this." Ethan looked around. "We need to get out before the whole forest collapses." Together, they ran through the glowing woods, dodging falling branches and luminous fruit. Ethan had a natural sense of direction, surprising Rina as he led her through shortcuts she had never noticed. Finally, they reached a safe hill. Rina hugged her precious coconut tightly, panting. She turned to Ethan. I don't even know your species well, and yet, you saved my most prized treasure." "Why?" Ethan shrugged. "Because sometimes, helping is the smartest choice you can make. And humans, like a challenge." Rina studied him carefully. She realized that humans were indeed strange. They were small, fragile in appearance, yet their determination and cleverness could overcome almost anything. Over the next few hours, they watched the forest slowly settle. The pit had caused a small landslide, but thankfully, no one was hurt. Rina smiled faintly, impressed by the human who had acted without hesitation. "You know," she said finally, "humans might be special. Maybe not the strongest, but clever in ways we can't always predict." Ethan laughed. "That's the idea. We may not have long arms or glowing skin, but we can think outside the box. Rina grinned. Maybe, we should work together more often. There's a lot your species can teach us, and perhaps we can teach you too. Ethan nodded. Deal. But first, I think that Coconut deserves a proper home. The two carefully carried the glowing fruit back to Rina's village. Villagers stared in amazement as she presented the recovered Lumacoconut. Murmurs of awe filled the air. No one had expected a human to save one of their most sacred treasures. Rina couldn't hide her pride. This human, he is clever, brave, and, somehow, heroic, she admitted softly. Ethan smiled modestly. I just did what needed to be done. Humans are good at that. As the sun set over Zyphora, the glowing forest seemed to shimmer even brighter. For the first time, Rina realized that humans were not just visitors, they were partners in adventure, capable of changing the world in ways no alien could have imagined. And somewhere deep inside, she wondered, maybe humans were exactly the kind of unpredictable, daring beings the universe needed. For Ethan, it was just another day of solving problems that no one else could. But for Rina, it was a lesson she would never forget. Sometimes, strength isn't about size or power, it's about cleverness, courage, and a willingness to help. As the night settled, the villagers celebrated, glowing coconuts in hand. Rina caught Ethan looking at the stars, smiling. Next time, she whispered, we'll explore the floating mountains. Together. Ethan grinned. I'm in. Humans love a challenge. And so, an unlikely alliance began, one that would see humans and aliens working side by side, solving problems, saving treasures, and exploring mysteries that no one species could face alone. The universe was bigger than they thought. But together, anything was possible.